Hey everyone. So this is something I haven't done in a little while. It's called Memory Ticket. It's basically where I pick between 3 and 5 concert tickets that I still have, and then I try to tell a story about each one. Three, I guess, if I go long, and 5 if the stories are pretty brief. Yeah, so I've got a little bag of tickets next to me. Now, most of these are going to be older shows. Unfortunately, we just don't get tickets the way we used to, physical tickets, which I do miss. You know, sometimes physical things just are great triggers for memories, and I don't know, so much of it exists in the digital space now. Anyway, I'm going to pick one here. Let's see. It seems like it's an older ticket. I can't tell. It's a fat one. Let's see. So it is. Oh, wow. Tom Waits. Tom Waits. Yeah, I was lucky enough to see Tom Waits. That's kind of a rare thing because the guy hardly ever tours. I saw him at the State Theater in Minneapolis on August rather, 29th, 1999. And my ticket was $49.50 plus a $5.25 service fee. That was State Theater is a pretty small place, so it was a treat to see Tom Waits in a small place. And I remember he started out with like "Ladies and Gentlemen," like the same way he starts out. One of my least favorite Tom Waits records, the Black Rider, through a megaphone, like in the back of the theater, and I think he walked down the aisle and came out on the stage, and then went into his regular show. And I remember it being really good. He was in good voice. I remember it being a combination of songs from Mule Variations, other songs from his Island records, and then some older ones sprinkled in too. I'd have to consult the set list to really remember too much about it, but I remember it being a really good show. I remember feeling really honored to be there and to get Tom Waits, to get to see him live, and it was a treat. And I think he's only toured maybe one time since then. He went on some tour where I think it's called Glitter and Doom, that live record came from. I'm guessing that was around 2003, 2004, 2005, somewhere in there, maybe a little bit later. But I didn't get to see that. I believe that was just on the West Coast. I was still living in the Midwest at that point. But yeah, really glad I got to see Tom Waits on August 29th, 1999. Okay, what else we got here? Let's see. I feel like this is probably a First Avenue show, maybe Minneapolis. I saw tons of shows there. It's a thinner ticket. It is. Oh, Cheap Trick. Oh, this is a good one. This is a really good one. Okay, so November 12th, 1999, I saw Cheap Trick. I got in with, is this a comp? I guess it's kind of hard to tell. But I probably paid for it. But I got in to see Cheap Trick November 12th, 1999 on a Friday. And this was when they were doing all 3 of their first records. Self-titled one, Cheap Trick, the first night, which this was. And then Saturday was going to be In Color, and Sunday was Heaven Tonight. I had seen Cheap Trick prior to this, but mostly, I think every time was at a big kind of like state fair, or maybe even smaller than that, like a block party type stuff, summer outside. And I had never seen them in a club. And I like Cheap Trick a lot, especially those early albums. I got into them. I think I got in with Budokan like shortly, maybe a couple years before they released Lap of Luxury, and then we're kind of everywhere with the Flame. Really liked them, but I was not prepared for just how great they were live when you see them in a club. It was a completely different kind of show than when you see them, outside, block party, state fair, general kind of public thing. They were just playing their first record, and it sounded like it was 1977 in there. It sounded absolutely incredible. They had so much energy. You could tell that I think they excel at that kind of show. Sure, they can play that kind of a general show for everyone. I've seen shows like that since by Cheap Trick, but I really prefer to see them in a small venue. And what a killer opportunity to see them play their self-titled record. I was going to visit my family that lives in Wisconsin that weekend. And I remember I think I must have left on Saturday. And I was thinking if I hadn't had that planned, I would have for sure gone to the second and third night and seen the shows for In Color and also for Heaven Tonight. But yeah, Cheap Trick and the Bottle Rockets opened as well. November 12th, 1999. So we're on a 1999 kick. That's interesting. This and Tom Waits are only about 3 months apart. All right, let's see if it's another 1999 ticket or what it is. Okay, this one feels fatter. Probably a bigger show. Oh, ooh. Okay, I've seen r.e.m a number of times. This was at XL Energy Center, which in Minneapolis, if you're going to see a big show, at least in 2003, XL was so much more preferable than to see them at like Target Center. The Target Center, the sound was just horrible. Basketball rink bounced all over the place. This was a hockey rink, but the sound was a little bit better, and they could sometimes close it off and make it seem a little bit more intimate. This 2003, so this was when r.e.m were doing kind of a greatest hits type of tour. They had put out the best of album, best of their Warner Brothers years material. Bad Day was the single, and I think what was the other one, Animal, maybe? The new songs off the best of, and then they decided to tour the best of. I think already by this time, we're kind of like waiting for a new record, and then they decide to tour for a greatest hits record. I remember being kind of annoyed by it. Like, come on, let's just get some new material. But, I can understand why to promote that record too. I don't remember a whole lot about this particular show. I have much stronger memories about other r.e.m shows. But r.e.m were always great live. They were always a great rock and roll band live, and I have no doubt that this was a really good show too. I'm just having a hard time remembering specifics about it. Ed Harcourt opened up. I don't remember him doing a whole lot for me. And I saw them shortly after this in like 2004, and then I saw them again in twice in 2008 when Accelerate came out. So those are the shows after this that I saw. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't have too many memories about this particular show. All right, let's see what else I got here. Another skinny ticket, probably a club show. Oh, wow, okay. Robin Hitchcock. I feel like I'm drawing some good ones. Okay, we're traveling back about 8 years from the last one, and about 4 years from the 1999 shows. This was the first opportunity I ever got to see Robin Hitchcock. So April 16th, 1995, in Minneapolis again, the Cedar Cultural Center. The Cedar was is on the West Bank of Minneapolis. I think it's still there. They tended to get more stripped down, more acoustic acts, some local bands, a lot of kind of folky world music. Always a great place to see a show. This might have been one of the first shows I ever saw there, but interesting story in that I bought tickets to see Robin Hitchcock and the Egyptians in 1993. I got into them with Respect, the album Respect, and I was just dying to see him live. And I bought tickets to see Robin Hitchcock and the Egyptians in Milwaukee in 1993. And then I read in the paper, I saw an ad for it. Somehow I saw an ad, maybe it was in a music magazine, that the show was 21 plus. Now this was new to me. I wasn't living in a big city at the time. I had yet to move to Minneapolis, and I actually called up the venue, and I was just, do you really have to be 21 years old to see Robin Hitchcock? And I was crushed when they said that you did. And I was about it was 93, maybe it was 92. Or it might have been, maybe it was 92, actually. I think Respect came out in 92. Because I wasn't 21 yet. I was maybe a year away. And it was just kind of crushing that I couldn't go see them. And I ate the ticket. I mean, this was before, we had anything like Craigslist or any kind of internet. But 1995, I finally got to see Robin Hitchcock. He put out an album called Moss Elixir, and had disbanded the Egyptians and was just doing his own thing. Played acoustic guitar, told stories, played stuff from the Soft Boys, played stuff from every solo period. And just a great show. And I think I fell in love with Robin Hitchcock, the performer, the jokes, the long short stories. And I can't remember if this show is the one where I started going to like in stores he would do around that. He was always very generous with those. I remember seeing a few at Let It Be Records when they were around. Might not have been on this one. I do remember ducking my head back into the dressing room just to kind of catch another look at Robin Hitchcock, and I think he saw me and got annoyed and closed the door. I do remember that, and I was like, oh geez, okay, give these guys some privacy. But yeah, it was a great show. Don't remember too many specifics, but just remember that that really turned me on to Robin Hitchcock even more. So I walked out of that show a bigger fan than I was when I walked in, and I was already a pretty big fan. Okay, I'm gonna do one more here. This is I got two stuck together. Okay. This is a big fat one, which leads me to believe that, again, it's a bigger show. Probably not at a club. Oh, weird. Okay, this is a good story. The Flaming Groovies with special guest Roy Looney playing the Teenage Head. The Teenage Head. 2019 at the Chapel in San Francisco, California. This is a good story, a really good story. My friend Joe came up to visit me in San Francisco, and I think we had talked about trying to have him visit at a time when the Flaming Groovies are going to play. Legendary San Francisco band, had a couple different incarnations. Getting Roy Looney back in the band was interesting because that was like their first period before an album that became probably the most popular, Shake Some Action, but that was like 1979, 1980, and this was back in like 1973 that Teenage Head came out. So they're reuniting with this guy. They're doing it some local shows, or maybe just one local show. Anyway, Joe came up, having a great time, showing around San Francisco, just bonding over music, had the acoustic guitars out, kind of swapping songs. Just a really, really fun weekend. And then on that Saturday, or Friday rather, we went to see the Flaming Groovies. It was interesting chemistry. I don't know all the stories behind all of them, but obviously they had reunited with this guy and they were playing a lot of their early stuff. I think they did play Shake Some Action later on, but what I remember, and it's sad, but it's also kind of funny, is I just remember Roy Looney being so incredibly drunk that he collapsed, I think, on stage at the end, and like someone had to help him up. Like, I just remember distortion ringing out and like somebody had to get him off the ground. But it was a fun show. I just remember that weird ending there where it's like, okay, maybe there's some issues here that kind of prevent these guys from playing together. And since then, Roy Looney has passed away, I think recently in the last year or two. So really glad I got to see the Flaming Groovies. I got to see them twice. One time doing more of the Shake Some Action type material without Roy Looney. And then another time playing the material from Teenage Head. Both of those albums I think are great. Teenage Head and then Shake Some Action. So anyway, always glad I got to see the Flaming Groovies. It's always interesting. Like, I have had the fortune, I guess, of living in different cities and finding out what their local bands are. What are the bands that reunite around the holidays or special occasions or decide to get a classic lineup back together? And this was a Flaming Groovies at a pretty damn small place, former mortuary on Valencia in San Francisco. So those are my stories for now. I think I picked some good ones. This one might be a little hard to top, but thanks everyone. Appreciate it.